Post-COVID world, major world economies are seeing a downturn. That means jobs are a major concern. India, which is already witnessing unemployment at a 40-year low, and that's before the pandemic hit us, has much to think about this problem. As many as 41 lakh youth in India lost jobs due to COVID-19 pandemic, according to a joint report by the International Labour Organization and the Asian Development Bank. Now, youth will be hit hard as adults 25 and older are in the immediate crisis and will be bearing a higher long-term economic and social cost because of the pandemic. Now, the International Labour Organization in its report also talks about a risk of a lockdown generation, implying a long-lasting fall in employment and economy. Another report hints at a long-term impact because it says that salaried jobs will not recover quickly. So, on FII today, we tell you how you can fight the unemployment problem, which sectors are going to thrive in the post-COVID world, and what should you do to prepare for it. Essentially, how to get ahead of the curve and ensure a thriving future for yourself. I'm Sonal Mehrotra Kapoor. Let's take it straight to our experts this morning. We've got Tulika Krishna. She's a senior mentor and chief career planner at Credentials India. We've got Dr. Amrita Das, educationalist and career counsel. We also have Nitin Vijay. He's the managing director of Motion Education. Professor Chandra Bhushan Sharma, former chairman of NSIO, professor of education at IGNOU as well. Good morning, all of you. Let me begin with Nitin Vijay over there. And to all my panelists, really, to everybody watching, the thought in the mind is, how do you prepare for the post-COVID world? What, according to you, are the top 5 areas and sectors you think are going to thrive post and hopefully soon when we are out of this pandemic? We'll begin with Nitin Vijay.
Hello, everyone. I think that because I'm from an education sector, I personally feel that it's a bitter truth that some of the people lost their jobs into education sector. But I personally feel that what we bring new to the table is that what kind of integration we are looking for into the education sector in next 10 years, that we are looking for how we'll integrate education with the technology. But pandemic situation forced us to do that in last 6 months. So I think that is a positive part of the situation. Obviously, if we talk about the jobs, some of the people lost jobs into the education sector. But I personally feel that once the situation normalizes, we will regain those jobs. In fact, what I personally feel that there will be an exponential increase in the requirement of jobs particularly into the education sector, because it is a demand of the management now to integrate technology into the education. So there will be rapid increase into the requirements of the people, those who are good into the technology with the integration of education. So I personally feel education
takes a top priority over there. Let me bring in Professor Chandra Bhushan Sharma. According to you, sir, top 5 sectors you think that should be thriving post the pandemic?
Thank you very much. I partially agree with my previous panelist. Anything that is related to IT supported services will thrive, like online trading, online software development, online support and services. But what my previous panelist said, education is going to get a boost. I'm very happy we witnessed Corona within court, because we don't forget we have 40 crore children in our institutions. And we were always bickering about poor quality education, and the conditions that we had laid, B.Ed, M.Ed, Masters, PhD in your subject and all that, completely kept out of the whole system of education those who are good teachers, but without a teaching degree. They will come back, and it is already being witnessed. Look at the online education. You are never asking a person whether you have a B.Ed and you are teaching me physics of class 12. We are going to witness very large boost in the education sector, which will be IT supported. So these two have been mentioned, but 3 sectors that I believe would get boost would be: 1, B&B, bed and breakfast services. We are not going to go to hotels back. We would like to stay in safe houses where we can get sanitized services and online home delivery of food. We have been debarred of going to restaurants. We are going to see boost in home delivery of cuisine and food. And one very important, MSME has got a boost from the government. We are likely to see a boost in the Kutir Udyog.
All right. Dr. Amrita Das, top 5 for you?
Yes, so COVID has brought a tectonic shift and transformational change in our lives and careers. It has showcased that no longer is it going to be the survival of the fittest, but the survival of the quickest and the fittest. So health is wealth, along with agility and expertise in our place of work. So what COVID has highlighted is the power of cutting edge technology along with the importance of a humane approach. So the post-COVID career pointers are, first, very importantly, a digital transformation in each and every career field. For example, digital marketing, digital media, digital content creation, UI, UX, esports, Formula One racing, EdTech companies, as has been pointed out, FinTech companies, so virtual and mixed reality, holograms, AI. Next year, anyone will be able to give a virtual keynote address through a hologram, if in Japan, in Japanese, and it is also real. The other thing is the new education policy has, in a very timely way, brought in interdisciplinary career choices. It has done away with the silos of art, science, and commerce. So a mix of subjects is going to lead to new specializations which will be trending, like history and math, cliodynamics, to be able to forecast more accurately the future trends in a very volatile, unpredictable world. Then the bringing together of psychology and economics for behavioral economics, behavioral finance, it's human sentiments that are driving the marketplace. Then next, education, health, and the pharmaceutical industries are going to do extremely well.
Okay.
Then one more, which I want to share with you, which is very important, is disaster management. There are very few in this field. WHO has predicted there are going to be more waves of pandemics. So we need many more people in the field of disaster management. These are among the few. There are many more.
Right. Interesting. Very interesting over there. Tulika Krishna, your top 5?
I would say, because I've seen a lot of students with mental health issues currently undergoing a lot of trauma because they did not have the growth mindset. So today, when we look at the top 5 careers, in any career, firstly, we need to have a growth mindset where we need to keep on changing with the turbulent times. So research-based careers are on the top of my list. Whether it is medicine, pharmacy, or public policy, it doesn't matter. Economists, even environmental economists, disaster management, as my senior Dr. Amrita Das said. Then digital journalism, because we need to get a lot of information about what is happening around us. The most important thing that we require, and in large numbers, is network securities professionals.
Correct.
Because everything is going to be digital. Everything is going to be remote working, remote learning. When the word remote comes, how do we save our systems? Because there's so much of hacking going on. So we require ethical hackers. Cloud computing, because companies don't want people to be on the campus or on the premises. It's remote working. So again, cloud security, because now data is like gold. Then comes content creation. There's so much that is going online. So we require digital content creation, healthcare. We have, from the top of the line scientists, we require technical people, lab assistants, lab technologists, because the pandemics are not going to stop. They are, the WHO and even the, other health professionals are saying this is not going to end with COVID.
Right.
We are going to face such disasters again and again. And of course, education. Education, the biggest problem is the underprivileged children. And we need to provide them cheap and efficient systems of imparting education to them. These are the fields where I feel the careers are going to be ample and really abundant. And we need to be prepared for it educationally and mentally with a growth mindset.
Right. So I think across the board, what we have agreement over is education that will see lots of opportunities kick in, medical and medicine. Everybody's talking about that. That's pretty much going to be our focus as well. And apart from that, a digital way of looking at all the avenues. Now, Tulika, when students in class 10th and 12th now come to you and say, okay, we have our respective fields at this point and we want to brace ourselves and become market ready for the future markets as well. What are you telling them as an immediate things to do at the moment?
See, the first thing is academically keep up with whatever you're doing, the regular academics, but other than that, a lot of certifications. I keep on telling them internships and certifications when they get into college. Online, you have EdTech, educational technology platforms where they are being offered online programs. And they hold a lot of weightage in your resume. So you need to bring something extra to the table to be hired by companies in the future. So even if you're doing network security, how many certifications have you done? Maybe you could be doing it from, Coursera or Udemy or any of these top of the line, platforms. But other than that, the growth mindset, that I am not going to be fixated. I am ready to change with the circumstances. I'm ready to change my mindset, and I'm not going to be stubborn as to what I'm
So prepare yourself that a lot of uncertainty lies ahead. So you have to brace yourself for that. On that note, I want to take a quick question that we've got. This is a student from Chennai who has a question for you.
So one sector which I thought that would thrive following the COVID-19 crisis would be the architecture sector. Over the course of COVID-19, we have seen how a majority of our country's workforce has been confined to the walls of their homes. So I think after the pandemic, when people are searching for new homes or are planning to build their own homes, they would think about these conditions and not only take work from home as a factor, rather a place suited for their needs. Say, for example, if they want a gym in their houses or if they want a mini garden. So they will think of all these factors, and better interior designing and sustainable architecture will become of prime importance.
Well, I think what she's trying to understand is how do you actually deal with it? Amrita Das, do you want to take that and say that while that's a great thing on everybody's mind, how does one approach it really?
Approach the scenario presently?
No, the question that she had, if somebody wants to go into the architectural world, talk about sustainable architecture.
Yes. Right. So I think you're very, very right. There'll be a new wave in terms of architecture and architecture design, because schools, hospitals, homes will all be requiring not only an interior design revamp or transformation, but the newer buildings will need different kind of architecture. Also, with the movement from offices to work from home, a lot of buildings have been now are free for other uses. So we would need architects and designers to see what other uses these buildings can be revamped for.
Okay, on that note, I want to take another question. This one from Guwahati.
Hi, I am Panchal Pradeep Khargoria. I am from Guwahati, Assam. I want to do engineering, and for that I have given some entrances in which are supposed to be held in the first of the months of the year of this year. But due to this COVID situation, it got delayed, and it was quite stressful because I did not have a proper plan to follow. a routine basically. If I get an admission through this counseling, which is due this month, I would be going to the hostel away from home. But if something happens in the hostel, it would be difficult for me to cope up.
Right. I think what he's trying to ask is that while we are talking about what to do ahead, a lot of students, especially in class 12th and in their first years right now, are in a state of flux. They don't know what's going to happen, further on these examinations that they've given in midst of a pandemic. What happens next? Tulika, what do you have to tell them at the moment?
See, the main thing is you need to follow all the protocols, the medical protocols. The other thing is mentally, you need to prepare yourself. Yes, there is a danger, but you need to take all the precautions. Other than that, your connection with your family, the family support is also going to play a big role in keeping your mental health. Because especially with the academic stress, you don't want a situation wherein you face any kind of mental health issues. So being in
I
touch
actually
with the family,
absolutely agree with you on the mental health issues, and perhaps we need a whole another discussion on only talking about the mental health of young kids in the country, and we'll come to that. But Nitin, come in on the fact that how do they academically deal with the challenge at hand, where they don't know how the counseling is going to take place, which college to go to, is this safe? So those in state of flux at the moment, what is the immediate solution for them academically?
I think that it's a very good question which he has asked. What colleges we have to take, what procedures we have to follow. I think a lot of content is available on YouTube and all that stuff. If suppose they want to choose engineering colleges or medical colleges, so that is not a problem. The main problem lies into that whether they will be able to cope up within the next 6 months to cover their first year and all. But I personally feel that if the colleges, which colleges are taking into account, that if suppose they will reduce their other curriculum activities, and if they will only stress in next 6 months on their academic performance and academic curriculum, then it will be very easy for students to cope up with the curriculum in next 6 months. That will not be a bottleneck. So I don't think that a student has to take to be bothered about it, that there will be a problem into next 6 months, whether they will be able to cope up with the situation or not. The second thing which lies into it is that whether if suppose they are safe or not. I think because I'm a graduate from IIT, I have been in talking terms with their professors over there. They are taking too much of care about it, that every hostel should be sanitized properly. They are trying to give
and the government has also come out with very detailed guidelines. I saw Professor Sharma smile when you spoke about the curriculum. How is that going to pan out for these students who are just getting into college? Your thoughts?
I'm happy this discussion has come up. When we had decided to go ahead with the NEET exam in September, I was the one who wrote to the Prime Minister and along with all my colleagues from across the country that exams must be held. And on your channel as well, I was called to explain why in September, why not delay.
But now exams are done.
Someone else is saying.
But now exams are done. What do you have to say to students who are worried about curriculum and how they will catch up because of the delay?
That's why we wanted the exams to be held in September. We need at least 6 months to complete the
But does the university have a plan in mind?
Yes, we have. That is why we decided to go ahead with the exams in September.
Could you share some details with us, sir?
We already shared when we were discussing that if we did not hold the exams in September, we would not be able to complete the admission process by December. And January, the session must start so that we have at least 6 months to complete the syllabus. But besides that, what the question from Guwahati is that who will give us counseling? How are we going to find out about the best colleges? This we have been doing online all the time. And that substantiates the point that we will have more counselors online available and the online education, counseling, teaching will mushroom.
Okay, so, I'm running out of time, so I quickly want to take two questions that we have. I'm sorry, sir. I just want to give a word, first to prioritize what the students are saying at this point. I have two quick questions from the capital. Could we have the one from the BSc Honours Mathematics student in Ashoka University?
Are mathematicians in demand? following the devastating pandemic.
Okay,
Very
and there
much.
is and there is another one, if we could play that out as well, wherein there is an inquiry, I think, about education abroad, which is also a major issue at the
For
moment.
students who are graduating now, who want to pursue a postgraduate degree abroad, how soon can we expect that to open up with the international travel ban and whatnot?
Okay,
It has already opened. The students have already traveled and they are quarantined there in the universities abroad. All those who got
Yes.
admission, they have already been accommodated, and we have information as government that they are quarantined in the universities abroad. Like the British universities, they have already called the students, quarantine them. Once they find that they
Can
are
I just
all right, then
highlight
they
over
will
there,
attend
we've
the
just been
classes.
reporting on actually one of the major British universities now closing down again because of a second peak that has come out in UK. So not all is well at the moment. We still
Yes.
are in a
No,
stage
no,
of
no,
understanding.
no, no.
Dr. Amrita
Also
Das wants
mentioned-
to come in. Please go ahead,
I
ma'am.
also mentioned British government is the first government to make it compulsory for all children to attend school.
Right. Sure, sir.
And parents of children who don't attend school will be fined in the United Kingdom.
Sure. I just want to bring in Dr. Amrita Das. Please go ahead.
So I'll give my views on both the questions.
Right.
Math is actually trending. So financial risk management, actuarial science, financial engineering would all require expertise in mathematics. And there's a huge demand for people who've done math. I already talked about cliodynamics.
Right.
So math is trending. Secondly, about studies abroad, most of the students who got admission in Canada, US, UK, US has yet to start, but Canada, they are doing online classes, remote learning, and they're very helpful with it. And they have a buddy system in place. So if one semester is likely to be online, the next semester maybe, so we have to be prepared for that eventuality, but the universities are doing a great job and there's
Great
nothing
job.
to worry about.
All right. I believe we have to
In fact,
leave it there. Okay, 10 seconds, Tulika, if you want to come in. I have to take a break after that.
Yeah, basically mathematics, I feel, is definitely data analysis in the domain, is basically a lot on the rise. And anybody who has expertise in math should not even feel insecure, because you are absolutely safe. You have a career safe. So
All right.
you don't have to worry at all.
All right.
Can will this program continue? Because I have one input for everybody.
Okay, let's take it offline then. I have to slip into a break very sadly at this point. That's all we have
After the
time for
break,
everybody.
very quickly,
Thank you
very quickly,
so much
use-
for tuning in. There is actually so much more to be said on this, and perhaps we can take up the discussion one more time later on FII. That's it for the moment. We'll see you again tomorrow at 11:30.